Hey, Matt and Ziggurat, this is Bob. I'm in Middletown. I just came up from New York. I took the train up. I took the path to Hoboken, stopped and sent a Facebook Messenger message to a friend of mine's daughter. I haven't seen her in 20 years, 22 years, but they know both my daughters from Sacred Heart Elementary School. And then I went from Hoboken up here, and last night I didn't sleep inside. At 5 in the morning, I got to the train station. I got awoken at 8:30. I went to the bathroom, at the train station in New York City. I have a ticket to go down to Baltimore. Baltimore is a big Southwest hub, and it's inexpensive to stay there. And I can also go down to Dulles from Baltimore. So, having said that, uh, the prior night I had stayed someplace uh, in Queens on Queens Boulevard. It was very interesting. A lot of medical places there, training headquarters, and a medical place for the hotel industry. A lot of food. I had a gyro, a lot of ethnic food, British bar. Saw the end of a soccer game there, and I was happy to then get on the 7 train back into Manhattan after spending the afternoon after my night there. It's right next to a McDonald's. It's easy to get to, easy to walk around. I've been walking around too much. I'm thinking of standards, standards of how I am, what I like, what I enjoy to do, what type of cars I like, how I like to communicate. But it's all a factor of sleep. I've had sleep deprivation now ongoing for probably 22 years since my car accident. It got better after I rested quite a bit. It got worse when I was outside living between 2013 and 2017. I went back to Las Cruces. The first few nights in that place in Las Cruces were fine, and then I couldn't sleep anymore. I've been intervened with by things that I'm aware of. I'm like an experiment, so I'm a product of being researched upon by certainly medical professionals or other people. Yeah, my relationships socially are not tangible. I I've met famous people in the old days who I'm very proud of became very successful. Very happy to have had contact when they were younger people. But really, I haven't had any contact with anyone since I've been 18. It was high level people. It became high level people in my lifetime. Doesn't matter. I was in the army. I was out of the country. I still speak German. I don't get any respect for being a guy who's able to speak German very well. And so, having said that, I called Benedict today. I told him I still want to get to see my daughters, my closest relatives. I have no one else. He wasn't very supportive. That's his option. He has his opinion. He's, of course, not independent. He lives amongst people who have their own opinions. But certainly it's correct that I go there as soon as possible. Don't know where any of my professional information is that was left there. Paperwork, uh, trophies, pictures, awards, tax returns. Where did all these things go? Why did Claudia decide not to talk to me at all? Is the woman dead and I haven't been told? If she's dead and I haven't been told, that's even worse. You have to talk about people you lived with for 20 years. I mean, how in the heck could that happen? And, really, I can yell and talk, but the fact is, no man ever denies another man from seeing someone he lived with for 20 years. No matter if Claudia's amongst the top people in the world, if she has friends who are huge people in Bulgaria, I don't care. But ever since 2012, when another person that I had met when I was younger went to Bulgaria from North America, I haven't heard anything from David. I haven't heard anything from Barely, who I know also from 1986 and 85. They went to my wedding. You didn't go to the wedding. I went to you and Ziggert's wedding. I went to Paul and Elian's wedding. I went to Mark and Maureen's wedding. But I don't have any family, and I sit by myself every single day. Poor me. Poor me. My telephone doesn't go out to reach my former Army colleagues. My phone doesn't go out to reach any social contacts. I never get telephone calls. You know, I make the money of a PFC. I make about as much as Sean makes as an E3. Paul was down in Washington this week. He's still down in Washington today. For some reason, you guys use sheriff to tell me where to go and where not to go in Highlands Ranch. I don't know if that was started by the fact that I had no place to stay. I stayed beside my car. I stayed outside beside my car. I stayed in a couple of hotels there, the Comfort Inn and specifically the Fairfield Inn there on Quebec, next to the Enterprise car sales, where they were going to sell me a car, but I didn't get approved for the loan for $17,000, which is crazy. As an Army officer in any country, every Army officer who's a major, field grade, retired, gets respect, and I don't get any respect by anybody in the financial business. So there's big people pushing my life into nothing. Large people who have a lot of influence making me into a nothing. Well, he doesn't make the standards. I said, well, you know what they are? They're what they are. Jealous little men. Many of them may be gay men. I don't care if they're gay or not. I have a lot of friends who may be gay. I don't care. I'm not a gay guy, and I don't care what people think about me, period. But the fact of the matter is, I'm treated like a person who never was educated, never led, never could talk, never was married, never had a family, never was capable of being an actor. You know, it's real funny. I must be a challenge to some actor or actors, not female actresses. But, you know, I sent out this thing to an acting school in Vancouver. Of course, I know Vancouver because I lived there for like 2 months. I don't even get a reply from it because of people who are directors in New Mexico who think they can tell me one iota of information that I don't already know. I must be on some blacklist. Hey, it's okay. I lived out of the country for a long time. I can remember that you knew people who were from Los Angeles who may have been involved with the acting scheme. You ought to act, yeah? You ought to go to Vancouver, take a course. Well, I'm nearing 60 years old, and I don't plan on sitting by myself the entire rest of my life. I don't plan on having sickness in my stomach the entire rest of my life. I don't plan on having a 3/5 full hernia that I have now. I don't plan on calling up Stefan, and he says there's nothing you can do with such a hernia. So I don't believe that's true. I'm thinking I'm going to need to go to the Arab lands to have them operate on this damn thing, because I'm not getting any positive information to help me. I don't have a car. I'm not from a city area, from a very rural area. Everyone has a car. Being in New York City without an apartment, is ludicrous. You know, I walk the streets in New York City. I sleep on a sidewalk, even in New York City, because I've done it in California. You know, at 59 years old, at 58 years old. I've done it since I was 48, sleeping on the streets in California, in Minnesota, in Chicago. So it's really interesting that I haven't been able to get an apartment in all of these years. Now I'm in this Motel 8 for one night. I just arrived half an hour ago. You know, it's past 9:30 now. I just watched the Devils lose to the Hurricanes 6-3, and the Islanders beat the hell out of Washington like 5-1. Yeah. And then Montreal was at Madison Square Garden yesterday. They probably lost to the Rangers. The Rangers are on a hot streak. Got to see New Jersey play Rangers. in New Jersey. Rangers, more Ranger fans than Devil fans there. 60% Rangers fans. The new UBS Stadium is in Elmont near Belmont Park. So if you want to take the train there, you can go to Ireland, see the Islanders play. But the bottom line is, I don't have enough money to live. I have PFC money, which is some 4-star general, an Army 4-star general. Everything that's happened to me and they shut my life off happened after that salute when I wasn't trained for the salute. It was a setup. It was a Masonic setup because they didn't want me in the Army. Well, I'm in the Army. I know the Army, and I have a memory that's very, very high level. Having said that, people who are high level may know me, but I never had one single conversation with anybody. It's really sad. So, you relying on sheriffs is something that is a little bit crazy. You know why it's crazy? Because your brother looking at you is higher than every single sheriff in the United States. I know more about the United States than any sheriff. Why? Because I've lived out of the country. Why? Because I've dealt with every single state in the United States like senators do, like Congress people do. And having said that, I get disrespected. Why? Because our country and the people in the country forgot that the military is better educated than the composite police. Better educated, work more, have more stresses, move continuously. Well, that's a social problem. That's an understanding of the Constitution problem at the business level and even at the congressional level. They've forgotten what the military is about. But I can't work in a vacuum as a military officer. I've been working in a vacuum, perhaps because of Ed Brady and Ed Brady's involvement in New Jersey and things that we know that exist in New Jersey. I don't even need to talk about it. I was almost killed twice in New Jersey, for example, 97 and then in 2000. So this medical thing that you both know about, just after you'd gotten married or just prior to you gotten married that I had to deal with, it's what's called a lie, an organized lie. I proved it. And having proved it, those things are decided upon by high level people. So those people put together lies, false assumptions, and made a projection and put me on a list. And it happened not lightning fast. It happened after my car accident in the 3 preceding years after I survived that nearly fatal car accident in 97. I haven't been relaxed enough to lead correctly in years. Many people lead disabled, but without a place to sleep, nobody has to do that. And that's what I've had to sustain and survive through. Religious. I don't have any interest in being a religious person. I understand religion. I know how to pray. I know the importance of prayer for one individual. A lot of your prayer life is from individual knowledge of how to pray and what value that might bring somebody in terms of bringing the spirit into status and homeostasis. You know? But I am certainly not a person who is ever interested in being a promoter of religion. Going to organized religion, that's fine because it helps in a community. But I was never interested in being a religious person. I was interested in the vocation of marriage since I was probably 13 or 12. No? And so, since I haven't had a wife in my bed after being married 20 years, it's incredible. My health during the time between 2000 and 2006 was suppressed by pharmaceuticals. the 5 pharmaceuticals I took. I had every year one sexual relationship with my wife. Can you imagine that? It affected my health. I got a hernia during that time in 2002 where I wasn't having any sex at all. I started to gain weight. That was probably related to the medication. Had a small hernia. Now the hernia since 2018 in December is huge in the belly button. But it was small between 2002 and 2018 in December. So the people that I thought were friends in New Mexico, they're a former friend, but not true blue friends. They held me with sustained disdain for one or the other reasons that I'm not aware of. I have about a couple more minutes to talk. Well, Ed and Rosemary, they have 2 sons who are colonels. They've lived away from the Northeast where they're from. It's a different lifestyle in New Mexico. I can't live down there. I need somebody to help me live. I need some place to stay for free for this month. And if you could help me in that vein with the Henrys, the people you know in this area in Rock Hill, please help me. Have a good day. And also, I need a car. If I don't have a car, it causes me so much heartache. Hey, have a great rest of this week. This is the 28th of April.